news. It's KFM's Hot Seat.
Until we all become angry.
What are you trying to achieve? That's why I was not appointed. What are you talking about?
KFM Hot Seat in association with Nile Gold, a crystal malt lager beyond an ordinary malt.
A very good evening and welcome to this edition of the 933 KFM Hot Seat. Charles Mwangusha Mpagi. And in the Hot Seat tonight, we discuss a subject that will touch many. You need to brace for it. Trafficking of Ugandan women. By Ugandans to do slave work or prostitution in Malaysia. About 16 women have been rescued so far and brought back to Uganda. 2 of them brought earlier, another 14 brought in recently. The biggest question is, what are the authorities doing? Who is trafficking these girls? Are they known? Is any investigation going on? It's just been presented in Parliament this afternoon. A youth member of Parliament, Monica Amoding, presented this issue before Parliament this afternoon, and the minister has been tasked to present a statement on what government is doing, and they have promised to do that next week. We'll be tracking that, and possibly Monica will be joining us by telephone link up. But let me introduce the people in the studio to discuss this. A man who knows about this subject. He has been part of the program and what has been going on. The last time we had him here was doing some other work. Now he's at the International Police. Asan Kasigye, Assistant Inspector General of Police, Director Interpol and International Police Relations. Asan, very nice to have you on the hot seat.
Thank you, Charles. And I think being back at KFM is an opportunity to again talk and share views to our listeners. Thank you so much and good evening.
And also with us in the hot seat tonight, a woman who's dedicated herself single-handedly to pursue the trafficking of Ugandan women into Malaysia to do sex work and prostitution by pimps in Uganda, coordinated by others in Malaysia. Hajah Norah. Do I pronounce that right?
Correct.
It's a difficult name to pronounce. Hajah Norah is the Honorary Consul of Uganda, of the Republic of Uganda in Malaysia. Very nice to have you on the hot seat.
Thank you, Charles.
Let me start with you, Hajah, on this mission you've been on. You've been Uganda's consular in Malaysia since 2003. That makes it almost 9 years this year,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes.
And since 2008, you've been following this question of Ugandan women trafficked to end up doing sex work in Malaysia.
Correct.
What was your first encounter? How did you come into this among your diplomatic responsibilities?
Okay, in 2008, I was brought to my attention by some people that about 30 Ugandan ladies, Malayas, came to Malaysia. I had their photos. I actually forwarded them to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and for them to address the issue, but nothing has been done since then. And since then, I thought that everything was fine. Then in early 2010, when 2 girls, no, not that time, I was informed somebody was thrown out
of a building.
Of the building. And my students called me and said, Mama, there's a Ugandan Malaya that has been thrown out of the apartment. And her pimp is actually a Nigerian. And then 2 days later, 2 girls came to my consulate.
They ran away from their pimp and ran to the consulate.
Yeah. And when these girls were in my place, I happened to have one of the director of immigration in Malaysia in my home, in the consulate. And she was saying, hey, Norah, this is human trafficking. So you have to bring it to the authorities. So that's what I did. I brought it to immigration, and then immigration, because in Malaysia we have a unit called D7, and in immigration they call ATIP. It's only for trafficking.
D7
Handling-
ATIP. You call it ATIP?
ATIP, ATIP, something about trafficking of human. You know?
Anti-trafficking in human beings.
Yeah.
ATHB.
Okay.
So, so they are the one who interviewed the girls, and then managed to go and raid the place of the pimps, where they were. But that time they didn't manage to really get the whole people, because everybody was, everybody ran away. But what we did, these girls were put in the safe house for about a month. Then they do the raiding again, and I think they caught some of them. And after that only they went back to Uganda. In Uganda, they managed to catch the people who recruit them.
Yes.
It was in papers, it was on TV, at that time. Then after that, it was a lull. And then in August, September, this is when one of the auntie I told that called me saying that the niece is being trafficked. So I told her, tell your niece to try to run to the consulate. And when she came the next day, she came with a friend. And through this friend, then 4 more came. So that's how it started. But and of course, I approached D7 again, and they were the one who told that let the girls be at the consulate rather than at the safe house, because at the safe house, they'll take a long time, because then they'll be mixing with the ASEAN.
Yeah.
So it will be a different case once they are mixed.
How are you certain that these girls are actually doing sex work in Malaysia? How are you able to ascertain that?
When they come to the consulate, I actually ask them to write their history, how they come to Malaysia.
How do they get to Malaysia?
So that's how, you see, in one instant, they were approached by a lady called Doreen, and then they were asked, to go to this place in Kajansi or something like that. And
I would rather we leave out the names, because we are following.
You're investigating.
Yeah,
we'll be
we're
asking you the
following
questions
that
about
up.
your investigations later. Take us through the process. They are told they are going to do what in Malaysia? Because I see a lot of advertisement on polls, on street polls, in posters, in newspapers, and everywhere. Study in Malaysia. And many Ugandans are applying to go and study in Malaysia. Others are looking for jobs in Malaysia or anywhere else they can find a job. So how are these particular groups of women, how are they targeted? How are they recruited? How do they end up?
okay, like the girls that were rescued, they were actually approached. Some were even, one lady, for instance, she was coming out. She was, I think, coming out from her boss' home on Entebbe Road. And then this car, Harrier, and beautiful ladies with rich, stopped by and said, "Do you want to work as a nanny?" And she says, "Of course." And she actually, I think she actually processed her own passport, but the tickets are actually given by these people.
So it is a truck who is buying the tickets, who is helping people get passports, isn't it?
Yes, but the thing is that those tickets, when she comes back, when she arrives in Malaysia, the tickets, the passports are taken. And when they arrive there, at the airport itself, tickets are taken, passports are taken, money are taken. Then you are brought to the apartment, asked to rest. And then for this particular lady, because she refused, she was locked in the room, and men were sent, 4 men a day.
And so the pimp charges the money, or the run of the brothel or something like that.
Yes, and the charge, they were saying that, okay, you come to Malaysia, you get 100 US per day.
Per day.
Which is correct, because it's 100 US per session, 300 ringgit.
This is what is paid for.
Yes, and this young lady, she actually ran away.
What you need to know is that immediately you arrive, you are indebted to a tune of between 7,000 to 9,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
So they tell you that the amount of money they use to transport you, air ticket, processing of the passports, and everything is to a tune of yes. So you begin working, but you don't earn the money. So the pimp takes the money away.
You begin working or selling yourself?
Okay, you begin selling yourself.
You are forced to
that is one way of making sure that they force you, by making sure. It's called peonage.
What is peonage?
It's like servitude. It's first of all making you like you are indebted to somebody, so you have to keep on getting the money to pay off the other person until when the money gets out.
Norah, let me come back to you. About how many girls are in Malaysia from your estimation? May be difficult to get the actual numbers, but about how many?
Because you see, since that day, every 10 girls come every day.
10 girls coming every day.
So that's how we calculate the 600.
So it's your estimation that about 600 could be doing sex work in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Is prostitution legal in Malaysia? Is it illegal?
Illegal.
Illegal. Yeah. So how are they able to keep them without the authorities knowing that some illegal activity is going on in an area?
Because you see, okay, they kept themselves in that apartment. So the clients are Africans. So the clients just go to the apartment, or even the girls will be sent to another area, Puchong, for instance.
So it's an underground kind of trade, is it?
Yeah.
I thought they were going for Malaysian men and women, Malaysian men who have broken through to the middle class and upper classes, and they're paying better.
No, because it's basically for the African community in Malaysia.
Is there a large African community in Malaysia?
It is. We have a lot of Nigerians in our midst.
You said that one of the pimps was a Nigerian. How was he connected?
No, the boyfriend of one of the pimps is a Nigerian.
And the pimp is a Ugandan lady. Is that what you're suggesting?
She's now in court.
Does that suggest a huge network of human traffickers for sex work in Malaysia?
Yes.
Malaysia?
In fact, okay, let me say this. Initially, it was the Botswanan girls that's doing this. Then when the Botswanan authorities found out, they took the girls back, because the girls were in Malaysia for studies. Then because there's no more ladies, so I think that's when they brought in the Ugandan girls.
We need to take a commercial break, and when we return, we'll be picking it up with Asan Kasigye, who is the International Police Director, Interpol and International Police Relations, based in Kampala. We'll be picking it up because there are signs of laxity within the Ugandan authorities. I don't know how big a priority this is. We've been asking questions. A devastating disease in northern Uganda called the nodding disease, and everybody's scrambling around finances. I don't know how high this particular incident, these particular happenings rank on the priority list. We'll be right back.
KFM Hot Seat. The hottest